Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
On Kids Express!
Welcome to 3ABN Kids Express. Today we're going to meet a young lady who has a warm heart and forgiving, especially for kids in need. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I'm Steven. Shall we do Where in the World?
Yes, please.
Can you guess where in the world today's guest comes from?
I think this is a state.
Can you guess what state this is? It starts with a G. If you guessed Georgia, you would be correct. Let's welcome Naya. Welcome, Naya.
Hello, I'm Naya King, and it's a pleasure being on the show with you.
Thank you. We're so delighted you're here and joining us today via Skype. This is really special. So tell us a little bit about Georgia.
It's really nice here. The weather, sometimes it's humid, sometimes it's sunny. It's mostly sunny and cloudy. The state fruit is a peach.
Okay.
And I have a lot of friends at my school, and I can't wait to spread the news about about Jesus.
Interesting. Now I hear that there's the Atlanta Aquarium that I think has like 11 million gallons of water for all the aquatic life. I don't know about you, but I like fish and the aquatic life. Have you ever been to that aquarium?
No, we've been to the zoo.
Oh, I like the zoo too. That's kind of special. But maybe someday you'll get to visit the aquarium.
And also the state bird is the brown thrasher.
Oh, I like those.
And then there's a remote island off the coast of Georgia called the Cumberland Island. It's home to over 100 wild horses, and no cars are allowed there. The horses are thought to be the descendants of horses brought over by the Spanish in the 16th century.
That's an interesting fact. Thank you for looking that up. That's very interesting. So do you have anything, what do you like to do there in Georgia?
I like to ride my bikes in the park. And we like to go to the library. And we go to the pumpkin patch each fall.
Okay, that's kind of fun. You're right.
To eat them or to just put on for decorations?
Sometimes for decoration, sometimes for eating.
Okay, that's kind of fun. So where you are in Georgia, how are you able to witness for Jesus? Because I know you're growing to be more like Jesus. You've mentioned a few things to me. And let's talk about that. How are you sharing Jesus?
I set up lemonade stands in my driveway, and with the money I make, I'm thinking about donating them to charity. Okay.
So you like giving them to charity, and I knew you mentioned something like orphanages and different places like that. So I know that, for example, here we often want to support orphanages like Child Impact, and you can see the website like that. You know, all of us can do something like that. I know my daughter Amanda, she had a lemonade stand, and she earned like $41 in a few hours. Whoa. And she also wanted to give that away to somebody else in need.
That's how much that's how much that is in my allowance.
Wow.
$41.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? But you know, I like how you're using your talent of being able to make lemonade, and you get to meet other people in the community when you have a little lemonade. And that reminds me of our dessert. I almost forgot it because I think it's the Georgia honey cake. Can we see that here? Georgia honey cake. That looks scrumptious. Have you ever had Georgia honey cake before?
No, not ever. It looks good, though.
Oh, I wish I could pass it to you. It looks like it has nuts in it, and I'm assuming a lot of honey because it's honey cake. So I think that's really scrumptious. I can't wait to try it later. I wish we could share it with you.
It looks like chocolate.
I don't know what it is, but we'll have to test it out. But so is there anything else that you do to share Jesus in your community?
I like to welcome Jesus to the world by shouting at my balcony, "It's going to be a great day. Jesus is going to come soon."
That's good. And
has that helped you find need in other areas too?
It has. Because one time at school, my friend didn't have, we have this like ice cream stand. My friend lost her dollar for it, and she was really sad. So the next day I came with $2 and I gave one to her, and then she was really happy.
That's really nice.
That's actually very nice.
And that's something that we can all do. Sometimes you can save up your money, and then you had extra money to be able to share it, because we don't always have to depend on our parents to help others in need, right? And to think of others like your friends.
It's also good to give booklets to other people who don't know about God and want to know about God. And in fact, there was like I heard of a story of a little girl who was learning about Jesus, and she wanted to give out great controversies, and she was giving out controversies, and she'd say, "Hey, I have a book for you. It's all about freedom." And then there was a boy about the same age. He also wanted to do it, and they were all giving out books, and it was very hard to get along because there was a lot of other adults to give books, because almost all the people had gotten a book.
Wow, that's interesting. And you made a good point, though, Steven, because, even I hadn't thought of that, but when Amanda had a lemonade stand, I think we should have put out books by the lemonade stand, and that way people could grab those books for free, right? So there's a good idea, too. You could be selling them, making a donation for like Child Impact, and then you could also be encouraging others to read more about the Bible or learn about God. I think that's a good point. I like how you...
Or you can make a YouTube channel or something else, and then you can say, hey, there's like an event coming up soon. And then you can give them.
And then invite them to your program. So you have a lot of opportunities there with your lemonade stand. I like that, Naya. Thank you for doing that. So if there was one thing that you can think of that you want to improve on and grow, in what area to be more like Jesus, what would that be?
Well, once on my playground at school, I had no one to play with, and it made me feel sad.
So you felt lonely?
Yeah. Sometimes when my friends are like playing a game, you say, hey, can I play? You say, no, it's for these kids, big old kids, and then they just leave me left out.
So I'm taking, since you felt lonely, you wanted to figure out some ways that you could help other people who also feel lonely every once in a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what strategies, when you felt lonely, what did you do about it?
Well, I told my mom what was happening, and she went to Walmart, and she bought me my own jump rope and some bells and some chalk, and the next day, I found like a group of girls and boys, and I was like, hey, do you want to play with me? And then I showed them the stuff I had. They're like, yeah, sure. And then I became friends with them.
That's a good point. I think every one of us at some point in our life, we all feel lonely. And I'm glad you had your mom that helped you to figure out, you thought outside of the box and how you're going to solve that. And so your mom went and got some things that your friends would like to participate.
Yes.
What do you do when you feel lonely?
I usually walk away from the subject or just use my own toys and play with them.
Okay.
I don't usually tell my mom because sometimes you have to stand for yourself when you're older and you might feel lonely.
That's true. That's true. And we all feel lonely at some point, but it's realizing that if you feel lonely, what can you do about it? And that's sometimes to be able to reach out to other people. That's what we could do.
You could even send great controversies to your friends and
You're right.
Tell them to your parents to read it or something like that.
So it's good that you acknowledge your feeling, and then you have to figure out, why are you feeling lonely? Sometimes, what causes us to feel lonely? Maybe you see everybody playing and you're not there, and that could be like you were talking about in the playground.
And sometimes Satan makes us lonely, so we think that no one's going to take care of us.
That's true, and it's important that you talk about it. I like how you were talking about it with your mom. You can also pray about it, right? And then, like you did, Naya, you planned an activity, right? So you were jump roping, and then you were thinking about other ways to get people involved, and we can all do that. But you know, some people find, I sometimes feel lonely every once in a while, and having a pet like a little Ginger, or Amanda, she begged for a pet, and she's got this little fish here.
Called All Clear.
All Clear, Bella All Clear, and you're right, this is her little fish. And so she doesn't feel so lonely because every time she comes back from school, she says, "Hi, Bella Claire," and she says hi and gives it some food. So you have to ask your parents, but it's possible you can come up, if you have a pet, to also, that sometimes helps with loneliness. And even if it's as inexpensive as a fish, but you have to ask your parents. But sometimes we all have that feeling of being alone. But are we ever really alone?
No.
Who's
God is always with us. And I think we have a verse.
A Bible verse about that in Isaiah 41, verse 10. Go ahead, let's read it, Steven.
I'll read it. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my right hand.
Righteous right hand. You're right. And I'm so glad that no matter how we feel, He is always going to be there for us. He'll never desert us. Aren't you glad? So what's something that you're going to try next time, Naya, when you feel alone?
Well, I'm maybe just going to walk away and make up a game for one person.
And look out for other people that might feel alone too. That's something that, you know, if you feel alone, you're probably not the only one on the playground that feels alone every once in a while.
2 are better than 1.
You're right. And so we can always be friendly, can't we? I think it's about time for our question.
Yes.
Can we read our question?
Today, our question is one that many boys and girls often ask. Does God really hear my prayers?
Yes, God absolutely hears your prayers. We are told in the book of Hebrews 4:16 to come boldly to the throne of grace that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. God wants us to come to Him in confidence that He will hear our prayers. There is another verse in John 5, verse 14 that talks about having confidence. Again, it's 1 John 5:14, and it says, "Now this is the confidence that we have in Him. If we ask anything according to His will, He hears us." 1 John 5:14. So 2 things that we can learn from this verses is that we can come boldly and have confidence that God will hear our prayers, and that when we ask according to His will, we know that things will happen. Aren't you excited about that?
Yes. And also, if you do it according to His name, He will answer.
He will answer because He's always working out for our good. Naya, I really appreciate you talking about how you're sharing Jesus, and we're looking for ways that you can seek His will. Isn't it great to know that we are never alone, and that even if we feel lonely, we can go to God and He will hear our prayers. There are many promises in God's Word that can help us know that God is with us no matter what. I've had a wonderful time here at Kids Express, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you know, you can participate with us as well. So you can email us at kids@3abn.org, and we'd like to have you participate on the next Kids Express or maybe another program. So just email us, again, kids@3abn.org, and we'd like to hear from you. And we want to continue to shine for Jesus. Thank you for joining us on Kids Express!